Wednesday. So when I was meeting with my marketing team about a week or two ago, when we were discussing what we were going to put out there for content for May, this week they wanted information on a business that works without you. And whenever I hear that, my very first thought is every business should work without you, you being the owner. It makes no sense to me that an owner of a business would be the entire business. It sounds like more like a job to me. I mean, I guess it is a business, but it certainly has a very low ceiling if it's dependent on the owner for any part of it, let alone the majority of it. So they asked me to dive in a little bit deeper about that. So I took a lot of notes. Otherwise, I'll go off all over the place on this subject because it is just one of those pet peeves of mine about business owners should not be the main ingredient in the business. It just can't grow and work that way. So I'm going to go into some notes here. All right. So a truly successful business, a really successful business, one that can grow, it works on systems. So the systems are the mechanics of the business, and there's a system for everything. It's how you answer the phone, how you answer an email, the system of your marketing and sales funnel, the system of onboarding clients or onboarding new employees to offloading clients or employees. There are systems for everything, or there should be systems for everything. And then you hire really good people to run those systems, or you hire really good people to create, tweak, monitor those systems. But it should never be fully dependent on one person, ever. The systems can't be dependent on one person, and they certainly can't be dependent on the owner. So this goes back to all the different analogies that are out there about the business, right? You might hear, got to get the right people on the bus. So there's one analogy. You've got to captain this ship. Okay, that's a good one. But most recently, Don Miller, he wrote a lot of books, but the one I'm talking about is Business Made Simple, and he has a masterclass around this book. And his analogy is built on an airplane, really like a 747 or a jumbo jet, Airbus, whatever you call it. That's his analogy for how a successful business runs. Oh my God, I can never figure out this camera. So he documents it. This is one of his workbooks that you can download if you get his book. It'll tell you how to, but he breaks it down, the airplane, into 6 main parts. So he has, oh, you're not gonna be able to see this anyway. So he's got the cockpit, and that's where the leadership is. He has the right engine of this airplane, and that's your marketing. The left engine, well, that's your sales. The wings of the plane, well, those are your products and services that you sell. The body of the airplane, this is probably one of my favorites, is the overhead of that business. And then the fuel tanks are the cash flow of the business. So this is now my new favorite business analogy. And he writes this, I'm going to read this little part. In order for an airplane to be safe and airworthy, these 6 parts of the airplane need to be in working order and also exist in the right proportion to the others. This is huge. Similarly, when each part of your business works together in the right proportion, your business grows at a healthy and profitable pace. Very similar to the airplane, right? If you have, that's why I love how the body of the airplane is the overhead. So if you can picture this airplane, you just have this humongous, giant, fat body, and then these little wings and a little cockpit, right? And a little, even worse, a little fuel tanks for the cash flow. Well, it's going to be really hard for this giant inflated plane to get off the ground. The body's too big. We find this all the time with businesses, that their overhead is just bloated and the business just can't fly, with that. So you need to have all these things in the right proportion to one another. That being said, every business has overhead. It just needs to have the right amount. So I already went through all this. Okay, yeah. So then the other part that I really like about this analogy is that the leadership needs to be in the cockpit. It's flying that plane. And if you, the business owner, are the only leader and you've got to be flying the plane, then when you're not flying the plane and you're going in the back and you're meddling in with other areas, then nobody's flying the plane. And what happens to a plane that nobody's flying? It's exactly what happens. It's going to nosedive. It's going to crash. But if you hire a team and their zone of genius is flying that airplane, you leave them alone, you leave them to do what they're great at, then you can go back and start serving the drinks and meddling in all the different areas. That's a great analogy for a business. So one of my very favorite quotes, and I know I've said it before, is, and I live by this in business, and it's by Steve Jobs. A very small quote, and he says, "It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." Man, I love this, and I often send this quote to some of my clients that are struggling, kind of on the fence. Oh, I can't afford to hire anybody. You can't not afford to hire anybody. It just, they go back and forth, and that's one of my favorite quotes, because it's like, you got to get off this fence and you got to invest and double down and make this business worthy. Start with the systems, then go with the people. It has to go like that. Or you can start with the people if you have that investment in your business and have them create the systems if that's not your zone of genius. So either way, whether you create and set up the systems and hire great people to run those, or you hire great people first to set up and create the systems and have them run them, in the end of the day, the result is the same. It's not all on you, the business owner. It can't be. Systems, team, culture, cash flow. That's the nucleus of any business that can grow. Take away any one of those and you're in for a crash landing. So if you're not sure about what a system really is or what it could look like, there are so many books on the subject. Gino Wickman, he has a whole bunch of books, and he created the EOS. You can look that up. Gino Wickman, EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, I believe, where he spells out in his books exactly how to create systems, and people love it. You can actually even hire an EOS coach, which I know is not cheap, but I've heard it's pretty transformative. Mike Michalowicz wrote Clockwork, and that is another system, another way to create systems. It's actually a little bit more simplified, and it's very, very inexpensive to do. It would take your time or somebody else on your team's time to create them, but they are very simple, and there's not a lot of money output to get those systems in place. And then there is, as I just mentioned, Don Miller, who came out with Business Made Simple last year. That is not even a long book. It's a very easy read. It's a great book, Business Made Simple by Don Miller. And he talks a little bit about systems, but it's more about this airplane analogy, and it really, really works so well. And I think there's definitely a couple of aha moments in there. So that's really it. I'm going to wrap this up. I will say that I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for small business owners, women entrepreneurs, different industries of entrepreneurs. And one of the most common questions that I see posted, and I just saw one again last night, was about, how do you find all the time in the day to get everything done? I'm running my business, I'm selling, I got to do my bookkeeping, I got to do my taxes, and it just drives me crazy, because the answer is, you're not supposed to be doing all of that. Stay to your zone of genius. That's what you should be doing. And then you will hire other great people in their zones of genius that'll just up-level you in every way imaginable. That's what you should be doing. If you think that you're a business owner that needs to be in and operating pretty much every part of your business, well, you're really just pigeonholing yourself. You put the ceiling right across your head, and you cannot grow that way. We're all human. We all have limits. Stick to your lane, stick to your zone of genius, hire a great team to surround you in the areas that you just don't want to do, or that you just know that you're not that great at, and then watch your business fly. That's it. See you next Tuesday.